I never thought a spotlight could burn hotter than my own resentment. But watching him take the stage, smirking at me like I was an obstacle to crush, I realized hatred had been nothing but a poor disguise for longing. Connor. The name alone made my pulse trip over itself. Silver hair perfectly combed back, piercing blue eyes that seemed to dissect every weakness I tried to hide, and a smile that could damn or save me in the same breath. He was everything I wanted to despise and somehow everything I wanted to hold. We had been rivals since the audition season began. The dance competition in New York City was supposed to be my breakout, my moment to shine without anyone shadowing me. But he had a way of appearing in every rehearsal, every warm-up, every chance moment in the studio like fate had a cruel sense of humor. And it did because he was the only one who could make me stumble and still make me crave his approval. I shoved my notebook into my bag and walked past him, pretending to be indifferent. Late again, I muttered, voice dry. Connor didn't even flinch. Fashionably, he said with that infuriating grin. The one that made every bone in my body tense and my heart betray me at the same time. He had the audacity to step closer, so close that I could smell the faint citrus of his cologne, the heat of him brushing past me. My cheeks betrayed me with a flush I hated. Backstage, the theater smelled of dust and paint and something more, something dangerously intoxicating. Every creak of the floorboards felt like it was echoing our rivalry, each step a battle. And yet, my eyes kept finding him, lingering too long, betraying me. Connor leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching me with that unnerving calm. You know, he said softly, I hate it when you avoid me. I froze. Hate, right? Of course. I'm not avoiding you, I lied, voice tighter than intended. He raised an eyebrow. Sure. And I'm the Queen of England. There was a smirk in his voice that didn't match his tone, and it made me want to reach out and punch Heimer, pull him into a corner, and kiss him. The rational part of my brain screamed to keep the distance. But the rest? It was screaming his name. Our rivalry was public, vicious. Social media loved it. Fans shipped our supposed hatred like it was a soap opera, dissecting every interaction for drama. Every comment, every touch, every glarite was all on display. But when the crowd left and the lights dimmed backstage, the pretense dropped. Then he was just Connor. And somehow I was just me, raw and shaking in front of him. The first time it happened was during a rehearsal break. I had stumbled, a minor misstep, nothing catastrophic but enough for him to catch me. His hand shot out before I could apologize, gripping my wrist. His touch was gentle, grounding, a shock of warmth that should have been forbidden. You okay? His voice was low, too close, and I could feel the heat of his body almost against mine. I nodded mutely, heart hammering. Too loud, I was sure. And that was when I realized me hatred was just a mask. The truth was far messier, far more dangerous. I wanted him. Connor seemed to know. Or maybe it was just my nerves giving me away. His eyes lingered longer than necessary, scanning my face, my neck, the subtle twitch of my fingers. And when he leaned just a fraction closer, I couldn't help it. I leaned back instinctively, but my body betrayed me, wanting to close the space instead. Our secret became routine in its intensity. Every late-night rehearsal, every quiet moment backstage, we edged closer and closer. A brush of hands that lingered, a shared laugh too soft for anyone else to hear, a glance that said more than either of us could admit out loud. Connor's dominance, so public in competition, became private in ways I hadn't expected. His confidence softened behind closed doors, replaced by a warmth and care that made my chest ache. I, who prided myself on self-control and composure, started craving those moments, the brief, unspoken touches that spoke volumes. And then the first time he kissed me backstage, hidden behind a velvet curtain, with the muffled applause from the final rehearsal still lingering in the theater air, it changed everything. One hand on my waist, the other holding my face, his lips pressed gently to mine. There was no fanfare, no announcement, just the raw, desperate need that had been building between us finally breaking free. I wanted to argue, to push him away, to remind him of the rivalry we had cultivated in front of the world. But every word stuck in my throat as his thumb brushed my cheek, and I melted into him, heart pounding like it was going to escape my chest. Afterward, we pulled apart just slightly, enough to see each other's eyes, to feel the heat between us. "We can't," I whispered, voice hoarse. Connor's smile was sad, almost wistful. "Yeah, but we just did." That simple acknowledgement changed everything. The stage became more than a battlefield. It became a theater of hidden emotions, secret touches, and whispered confessions. Each performance we shared was electric, charged with the tension of our dual identities, rivals in public, desperate lovers in private. I began noticing the subtle ways he claimed space around me without touching. The way his eyes would flick to mine during complicated choreography, as if asking for permission to pull me into a step, into a moment, into a closeness we could only share in fleeting seconds. Every brush of a hand, every accidental collision, every shared breath backstage became loaded with unspoken promises. But the world outside the theater remained oblivious, or maybe intentionally blind. Fans assumed we hated each other. Our social media posts were full of fake barbs and taunts, fueling rumors and gossip. And yet, the truth was ours, hidden in the quiet, the shadows, the moments that no one else saw. I had never imagined that rivalry could feel this intimate, that venom and desire could coexist, each feeding the other, creating a fire that neither of us could fully control. Connor had his own secrets, the little vulnerabilities he never showed the world. I discovered them slowly, the way he chewed on his lip when nervous, the slight tremble in his hands before a big number, the way he softened when he thought no one was looking. Each revelation made him more human, more impossible to resist. And me? I realized I was no less complicated. My bravado, my anger, my obsession with beating him, were all thin veneers over the fact that I wanted him more than I wanted anything else. And in his presence, I found that I could be honest, even if just for fleeting seconds. One night, after a particularly grueling rehearsal, we found ourselves alone again backstage. I was sitting on the floor, muscles aching, pride wounded by a slip in the choreography. Connor knelt beside me, not saying a word at first, just watching. Then his hand brushed mine, light, tentative, almost apologetic. "You pushed yourself too hard," he said softly. The words were almost a caress. "Let me help." And help he did. Hands steady, confident, tracing the tense lines of my shoulders, massaging the knots I hadn't realized had formed. My eyes closed, body responding despite my every effort to remain composed. The lines between rivalry and intimacy blurred further with every touch. I opened my eyes to find him watching me. That trademark smirk softened into something tender, almost shy. "Relax," he whispered, voice low and intimate. "It's just us here." For a moment, I believed him. For a moment, I allowed myself to imagine a world where we could drop the masks entirely, where rivalry didn't define us, where love could exist openly and without fear. The tension between us had been building for weeks. Each rehearsal, each stolen glance, each brush of a hand backstage adding layers to a storm neither of us could deny. And yet, the fear of being discovered, of having our public rivalry shattered, kept us tethered to restraint. It was the night of the semifinals, the biggest performance yet. The theater buzzed with energy, the air thick with anticipation. Every fan, every camera, every judge expected sparks, but they didn't know the kind of fire we were hiding behind the curtains. I paced backstage, adrenaline mixing with nerves. Connor approached silently, his presence enough to make my heart skip. He handed me a bottle of water, fingers brushing mine, lingering slightly longer than necessary. The contact made my pulse spike, my stomach twist with both anticipation and fear. "You ready?" His voice was steady, controlled, but there was an undercurrent of something raw, something meant only for me. "As ready as I'll ever be," I replied, trying to sound indifferent, though the lie fell flat in the way my voice quivered. He leaned closer, almost whispering, "Remember, no matter what happens out there, we've got this. Together." The word "together" hung in the air, heavier than any choreography, more powerful than any rivalry. My throat tightened. I wanted to tell him everything me fears, my longing, my obsession, but words failed me. Instead, I nodded, letting the weight of our unspoken connection settle between us. The music started, lights flickered, and suddenly we were on stage, moving as one, perfectly synchronized, our rivalry playing out as a performance for the audience, masking the intimacy that lay beneath every step. Every lift, every spin, every glance was a delicate dance of restraint and desire. Connor's eyes met mine during a particularly intricate sequence, and for a heartbeat, the world fell away. The stage, the crowd, the cameras, they didn't exist. It was just him and me, and the unspoken understanding that we could no longer hide what we felt. The routine ended with a flourish, the audience erupting in applause. But backstage, our hearts were still racing, and our connection, electric and undeniable, demanded acknowledgement. As the final act drew to a close, we found ourselves alone in the dressing room, adrenaline still coursing through our veins. Connor closed the door behind us, his hands on my shoulders, holding me steady. "I can't keep pretending," he admitted, voice low, almost a growl. "Not anymore." I swallowed hard, feeling the same truth bubbling up from my chest. "Neither can I," I whispered, words barely audible, but charged with all the emotion I'd been holding back for weeks. And then he kissed me. Not a gentle brush, not a fleeting touch, but a full, consuming kiss, fierce and tender all at once. His hands framed my face, pulling me closer, while mine instinctively sought him, needing to feel the reality of him against me. The world outside could wait. The competition, the fans, the rumors, they were meaningless compared to the truth we finally admitted to ourselves. When we finally broke apart, gasping for breath, our foreheads pressed together, the room felt smaller, warmer, safer. "We have to figure this out," I said, heart hammering. Connor smirked, that infuriating, irresistible smirk that had haunted my dreams for months. "We will. But for now, let's just exist in this moment." And we did. The final performance came the next day. This time, we didn't just perform, we owned the stage together. The audience could sense it, though they didn't know the full story. Every movement was charged, not just with competition, but with connection, trust, and desire. The lifts felt lighter, the spins sharper, the moments of contact electric. When the final pose hit, the crowd erupted, screaming, cheering, standing to applaud. Connor and I locked eyes, and in that shared glance, the battles of the past weeks, the games, the rivalry, it all dissolved. There was only us, and the undeniable truth that we belonged together. Backstage, the adrenaline was replaced by a quiet, intimate calm. Connor reached for my hand, entwining our fingers, a simple yet profound gesture that made my chest ache with happiness. "So?" he asked, eyes sparkling. "So?" I replied, leaning close, pressing my forehead to his. We finally stopped pretending. The months that followed were a delicate dance of revelation and acceptance. We navigated the world outside the theater, slowly letting friends and family in, finding allies in unexpected places, and building a life that honored both our public personas and private truths. Connor and I moved in together in a small apartment near the theater district. It was modest, but every corner held pieces of user-shared laughter, late-night rehearsals, stolen kisses in the kitchen, and quiet mornings tangled in sheets. Every moment was a celebration of a love that had been forged in fire and secrecy, now free to flourish. The rivalry didn't disappear entirely, it became a playful part of our dynamic. Fans still speculated, still shipped our public personas, but we smiled knowingly, our secret a shared joy that no one else could fully understand. One evening, as the sun set over the city skyline, painting the apartment in warm golds and oranges, Connor pulled me close. "Do you remember that first backstage kiss?" he asked, voice soft, almost reverent. I laughed, a sound full of warmth and memory. How could I forget? It was the moment I realized I was hopelessly yours. He grinned, leaning down to kiss my temple. And I was hopelessly yours. Even when I pretended to hate you, even when I challenged you every step of the way. I wrapped my arms around him, holding him tight. I don't care about the pretending anymore. I just care about us. Connor rested his chin on my shoulder, sighing contentedly. Us. Always us. There were quiet nights where we simply existed together. No choreography, no rivalry, no audience, just the intimacy of shared space and love. And there were wild nights where the city lights blurred past our apartment windows as we danced through life together, partners in love as well as life, finally free from the masks we had worn for so long. Months turned into years, and our love deepened, strengthened by the trials we had faced and the battles we had fought, not against each other, but against the world's expectations. Connor's smile, once sharp and competitive, softened into something tender that only I got to see. My laughter, once reserved for rehearsals and the stage, became a constant soundtrack to our shared life. And when we finally stood side by side on that same stage, no longer rivals, no longer hiding, the audience felt it. Every movement was a celebration, every glance a confession, every step a testament to a love that had survived secrecy, tension, and rivalry. Connor leaned into me as we took our final bow, murmuring, "See? We make a pretty good team." I smiled, pressing a kiss to his temple. The best team, on stage, off stage. Always. For the first time in years, I believed it. Not just the performance, not just the applause, not just the moments of stolen intimacy, but the truth that had been waiting behind all the rivalry and tension. That love could exist even in the most unexpected, chaotic, and intense places. And with Connor, I had found it. Every day since then has been a dance, a delicate balance of passion, trust, and laughter. The rivalry that once defined us is now just a memory, a spark of adrenaline we occasionally tease about. But the love that emerged from it is real, grounding, and constant. Backstage whispers, public cheers, and the endless expectations of the world no longer matter. All that matters is him and the knowledge that we survived everything to find each other. That, after all the games, all the teasing, all the fiery tension, we finally got to be honest, fully and completely in love. And in the quiet of our apartment, or the glow of the stage lights, or the hum of the city around us, we always return to the same truth. We are together, we are safe, we are homey in each other's arms. Connor presses a gentle kiss to my lips, lingering, tender and unhurried, and I feel every ounce of the months, the tension, the longing, the fear, the hope, and the ultimate triumph of love that brought us here. I rest my forehead against his, voice soft and certain. Always us. His hand squeezes mine in reply. Always us. The lights dim, the stage is empty. The world outside continues to spin, and still, in our small corner of life, love reigns. We are no longer rivals. We are no longer hiding. We are not just lovers, but partners, best friends, and confidants. And for the first time, the future feels bright, boundless, and ours to claim together. And that, finally, is everything. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.